Warriors, this is the Spartan Underground. And now, your host, James 300 Foster.
Welcome to the Spartan Underground. It's been a while. This is James 300 Foster, and I'm very happy to be here today with Devon, No Limits Larratt, and his son Auden. Thank you guys for being on here.
Hey, it's so incredible to be down here, to have gotten to spend the weekend with you, dude. I got to say, I've been following you on Instagram and, getting to meet you, dude, you're a fucking monster. When you wore that Hulk shirt,
right.
I was looking at I've got to watch more of your fights.
Yeah. Well, it takes one to know one, right?
Now, is it sixth? Is it sixth, Dan?
So I have the bars on the end, but that kind of in jiu-jitsu, that signifies more like you're an instructor, like you run an academy.
Right.
So I have 4 stripes on my black belt.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, the way it works, once you're a black belt, as long as you're staying active, you're actively training and teaching, it's every so many years. So first through third degree, that's 3 years per stripe.
Interesting.
So it's 9 years by the time you're a third degree black belt.
Okay.
And then it switches to every 5 years. Wow. So once I got my third degree, then it was another 5 years before I got to the fourth degree. Yeah. So it's a journey. Yeah, they want to make sure you're actively participating in the sport, though. You don't just get your black belt and get promoted every so often just because, you got to be out there training, teaching.
It's awesome.
All that type of stuff. So yeah, really cool. I figured we'd talk a little bit about how we connected online and everything. Obviously you already know the story, but the listeners might not know. Like, I'm a big fan of Dr. Disrespect.
Yeah. Who isn't? Who isn't?
He's a streamer you guys need to be watching if you have not stumbled upon his channel. He's quite the character, literally and figuratively. And I was watching his stream, and he started talking about you and arm wrestling, and I just went down that rabbit hole of all the videos on YouTube.
I'm still going to crush that guy in Mortal Kombat. Oh. And if I can't do it, Auden will.
It's got to happen.
Yeah, no, he's got to
happen. You've got a machine, right? You got
I'm telling you,
setup.
I feel like I'm the richest man in the world.
I love it.
Yeah, as soon as I put that thing in our basement, I'm like, I just feel so high class.
That's when you knew you made it.
I have made it. I have no more quarters, man.
Yeah.
I can play that thing all day.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, obviously the pandemic been a very trying time for a lot of people, and for me with running a grappling school, obviously especially early in the pandemic when we didn't know what was going on, it was very restrictive here, and the first outbreak in the U.S. was here in Washington, so the jiu-jitsu school was closed for many months, and I started to have a bout of depression and something I never really experienced like that. Some going to some dark places in my head and everything. So I remember when I reached out and I just messaged you, and I was kind of like, hey, thank you for your videos. They bring some joy to my life in these dark times. So that was really meaningful for me, and I know it did that for a lot of people. I was talking to some people at the arm wrestling seminar yesterday, and they were telling me the same thing. Like, they came upon your channel at that time, and just your message and your positivity and the content you were putting out there really resonated with a lot of us.
It's so awesome to hear that kind of stuff and get that kind of feedback, because it's really quite unintentional. Lucky that I just get to share my life.
Yeah.
And, obviously my channel is a lot about arm wrestling.
Yeah.
My life is a lot about arm wrestling, and the things that I've learned from arm wrestling is we are social. We are social animals. And that requirement to get stronger together, to come together as a priority, it's high.
Yeah.
Risks are everywhere in life, you know, and
I think what really comes across in your channel is the genuine nature of it.
oh,
And I think that really appeals to a lot of us because you're very much what you see is what you get.
yeah, that's
So,
true.
you know,
Yeah, I
like
know.
you said, you're not even trying. So, like, meet you in real life, in person, you're the same as you are on your channel. And that's, you know, I've been around high-level sports, celebrity figures in jiu-jitsu and in some certain, you know, different areas of life. And people aren't always as they present themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I had a real problem in my early marketing. You know, like when I first got you know, with the WAL, you know, it's crazy. I mean, I've aged a lot in these few years. But I remember when I first was with the WAL, I was fit, you know, clean cut kind of army guy.
Right.
And they kind of pushed the Superman image.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not Superman. You know, I'm more like I like if they're gonna do anything like that, make me Wolverine.
Yeah.
Don't make me Superman.
You got to be Wolverine.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no Superman.
Especially if we could get some of that healing factor. That
Oh my
Wolverine
God!
has.
Well, hey,
I'd be, well, yeah, you never know, right?
I'm all over it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny though, the pandemic. When you talk about like things that happened in the pandemic that were, you know, kind of, a good friend of mine said to me, Devon, it's really funny, you know, the whole message of the pandemic is avoid each other, stay away from each other,
Right.
you know, social distancing. And during this time period, you released an app
Telling people to get
Yeah,
together.
together. Yeah,
What
yeah.
timing, right?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think definitely, you know, your videos, Dr. Disrespect videos, like all of that was just bringing a lot of people joy. And I think that was very good. And it brought a lot of people who have never seen arm wrestling or never realized the depth of arm wrestling to the sport. I know I was one of those people, and for me it really appealed to my brain because as a martial artist, as a jiu-jitsu guy, I could see all the parallels between the technique and
Oh,
the
yeah.
angles and leverage and everything.
It's smaller. Like I love jiu-jitsu also, and like as you can tell, you know, I have a long way to go, obviously, and you know, I want to follow Auden through his jiu-jitsu journey. You know, selfishly because I love jiu-jitsu too.
Right.
You know, I've got a little bit of a background. They're really close. Jiu-jitsu and arm wrestling, same kind of people. I think that one of the really great things about both our sports, I like to relate it to Nordic mythology.
Mm-hmm.
You ever study a little
Little
bit?
bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
There's this concept of Valhalla,
Yes.
right? So, you know, if you fight hard in battle, the Valkyrie taps you on the shoulder, and then you get to spend the rest of your eternity. You know, you fight hard in the day, and no matter how hard you die or get chopped up, they come at the end and they put you back together and you feast at night.
Yep.
And that's your reality.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I'm trying to get to. And I feel like you can do that with arm wrestling because, you know, no matter how hard you get beat up, the worst I get beat up. Look at Levon tore my bicep.
Yeah.
It's basically a kill shot. You know, Levon killed me figuratively in
yeah.
arm wrestling. But I mean, I can keep going, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's I feel like it's similar in jiu-jitsu.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And in jiu-jitsu, and I'm assuming it's very similar in arm wrestling, like some of the greatest friends I've made are people that I competed against regularly. And we've done battle together. And I think there's something about that bond that you share when you participate in a high-level competition versus one another. There's a mutual respect that's earned, and you learn a lot about the other person through that experience.
100%.
Yeah.
Community and family, you know, with your team, and with the athletes that you compete against.
Yeah.
Yeah, deep connections are made between the competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the guys I've ever competed with, I've absorbed them.
Right.
I've studied them. I look at them, you know, forever, and my memory is terrible.
Right.
I have a terrible brain.
I've heard you talk about this before.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But
we didn't implement the name tags yesterday
right.
you requested.
That's okay. That's okay. We got through. But I feel like anybody that I've competed with, you're in there.
Yeah.
You are deeply embedded into my being.
Yeah. So there's a little debate, a little something that people get annoyed about in jiu-jitsu. And people get snarky about some things. It's funny, the hills that people want to die on. And Auden, you can weigh in on this too. Would you guys, so what would be your definition of a combat sport? Some people balk at the idea of jiu-jitsu or arm wrestling being called a combat art or a combat sport.
Wow.
Yeah.
They say that in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and don't, like, if you get caught calling a jiu-jitsu match a fight,
Really?
people get all up in arms.
me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, somebody was asking me, one of the guys that came to the arm wrestling seminar yesterday was a martial arts guy, MMA and a grappling guy, and he was like, it came up, and it's funny because that was something I was planning on asking your insight on, because even when I made because you got to have a good hook when you do an event, you got to have like some little catch thing, and
Sure.
I came up with the Combat Artists United, and some first comment like, is arm wrestling really a combat art? Come on, blah blah blah.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, people get their arms
So
broken.
who is saying these crazy things? Which sport or activity does it come from where they're like, you're not a combat sport?
That one was from a jiu-jitsu person, I think.
And that's about
that was
jiu-jitsu to arm wrestling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Balking at the idea of
who balks at jiu-jitsu guys? Who says jiu-jitsu is not a combat sport?
probably MMA guys.
MMA guys?
Yeah. Probably MMA guys, because they consider that they don't consider it a fight if there isn't striking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Auden, do you want to go? Because I can answer this question at great length.
Yeah. I'd love to hear both of your input.
Personally, I feel like a lot of things are combat sports. People don't necessarily consider combat sports.
Right.
Like, I consider combat sport anything where there's two people and they're going against each other in some physical
Trying to
activity.
defeat the other
Exactly.
person in a physical activity.
Exactly. Trying to score points, tap them out, knock them out.
Yeah.
Any one of these sports, anything that falls into those.
So
I
the
think
extent of potential injury or the harm that you can do to the other person isn't the thing that defines it. It's more that battling that other individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can answer. I'm a long-winded dude.
Hey, go for it. I know we're trying to not succumb to the sushi
It's
coma.
okay. I'll put you to sleep. real
Everybody
quick.
has to watch the gluttony video we just shot.
So I grew up in a very interesting household. Okay. So my grandparents were German.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a very interesting relationship between my grandparents and their offspring.
Gotcha.
Very complicated.
Yeah.
And my father's side of the family. So my mother's side of the family is German,
Okay.
and my father's side of the family is Canadian.
Okay.
Okay. Both sides of the family were involved in the war.
Okay.
Okay. And we used to go over there on Sunday afternoons, basically every single week.
Right.
And it was always a long, prolonged, like hours of conversation about the war.
Okay.
They would just talk about the war for
Yeah.
hours, very in depth. And I didn't really get involved too much because I was a kid. But
Yeah.
enough that I could hear a lot of the things. And my father would tell me that all sport is derived from war. Okay, like sport is like a civilized way to test some component
Right.
of warlike activity.
Yeah.
And I was a soldier. Okay, I was involved in. I mean, look, and there's degrees of war. Also,
yeah.
okay? Like, not all wars are the same.
Right.
Okay, but still, I dipped my feet in the war pool. So I kind of know what that's all about. And I will say that it's all sport can be considered combative when you when you are competitive.
Yeah.
If you are not if you are an amateur or recreational, you will not view it as combative or approaching war.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like the higher level you go, the further you go, and I don't care if it's sailing, chess, jiu-jitsu, you are approaching like a level of savagery and combat. And like, sports is the training ground.
Can be brutal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, our sport of arm wrestling is very peaceful.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a pretty chill, like, but if you want to get crazy, like, there's elements there that are definitely combative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, look at, and the how far you step outside the sandbox, that's up to you as an athlete and the league to monitor. And some athletes push those boundaries, and some are comfortable just to stay inside the sandbox and keep it more civil.
Yeah.
But I always get amused and entertained more the closer we go. Yeah.
I feel like, I feel like people who are involved in it to a little higher degree understand the combative nature and how it can take that path.
Oh,
I think it's hard for people, like you were saying, that are maybe a little lesser experienced to see those parallels.
There's a level of violence in sport which is acceptable by higher level athletes.
Yeah.
You know, like, when I am competing, like, when I'm practicing, it's much different. When I'm practicing, and even when I say, like, I'm competing at a more regional level where I'm not, like, being crazy, like, if I'm competing within my province, you know,
Right.
with guys are, you know, I won't approach it the same way. If I go to an event where I'm facing some ranked guy, I anticipate that they can hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, and I expect, when given the opportunity, they would hurt me.
Yeah.
I would be disappointed in them
Exactly.
if they didn't.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm signing up for. You know, like,
you
I'm
talk about the good death.
right.
Like, you know, go to my 300 moniker because of the beard, you know, that my friend up in Canada, actually, where you were born up in Victoria, he gave me that nickname because of the beard. We actually had a bunch of people fooled at one point that I was Gerard Butler's stunt double in 300. They got a lot of free drinks off of that one. But they talk about the wanting to have the good death. Like, I always say that, like, I don't go into competition. When I go into competition, I don't want it to be easy.
No.
I want to get pushed. Like, I want to find that person that, like, and if you just destroy me, that would be the greatest thing. Like, if I could find somebody that could just destroy me and make me feel like a white belt, like, I'll only get better from that.
I just found that guy. I just found him. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And when you find that person, it will allow you to really have almost like a rebirth.
For sure.
Yeah. If you have a defeat and it's close, you might not change too many things. If you have a victory and it's dominating, or even if it's close, you probably won't change a lot of things. If you get completely annihilated, it's such a gift. I mean, believe me, I would have rather won.
Right, for sure.
But, you know, if you want to make things be positive, you have to accept the lessons.
Yeah, I would say all of my greatest gains in my skill have come after defeats.
100%.
Wins are great, and you'd be lying to say it doesn't feel amazing to win.
Right.
But those defeats, those are where you take those lessons away and evolve and grow, and a lot of times push yourself even further. And
a nice balance is nice.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah.
Lose every once in a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Losing all the time. I hate losing.
Oh my God.
I hate losing.
Yeah.
Auden, you got to do your first tournament
Yeah, I did.
not too long ago, right?
Yeah, that was very recent.
That was fun, huh?
Ah, man.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun until they made the call.
That's all right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, the main thing is having fun out there. Yeah. And, being in that position of reffing is very difficult. And there's a lot of times where people are volunteering that don't have a lot of experience from time to times, and they'll accidentally make bad calls, or they've been out there reffing for a very long time, and the brain just kind of goes to mush. And that happens. But I watched the footage. You were doing awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and I know you're kind of taking it easy. You're supposed to be taking it easy. We took good care of you, right? So
it was great.
when Mom listens to this, nod your head. Yeah, we took good care of him. No, everybody flow rolled with you and had a great time and tried to make sure you were being smart, right? Yeah. So injuries, that's coming back from injuries, that's a big one. Like, people get antsy, and I've been guilty of that many times over the years. And Devon, I know you've had your experience with injuries and surgeries and things. What do you think are some of the key ways to approach your recovery and coming back from a bad injury?
I think that one of the things that's kind of vital to coming back from an injury is the removal of all pressure and expectation. Like, you might, whatever the injury is, you might say, okay, by this time I'm going to be here. By this time I'm going to be here. And you may be somewhat inflexible. And I think that one of the most important things is to remain flexible and to, work through it. Make sure the process is fun. Even when you're injured, make sure you're enjoying the process. And yeah, I'd say really listen to your body. You say that all the time, but
Yeah.
And don't stop. Like, it's rare that when you have an injury, you're not dead.
Yeah.
Right? There's something you can do. There's something you can develop. And that's really where the gift of the injury is it will force you to play or focus on a part of your game that you would not potentially otherwise.
Exactly.
Right. And that growth will stay with you. And then when the injury is finally better and you return to some kind of fundamentals, you have a new style that you bring. Yeah. So it broadens you.
Yeah. And you see that a lot. Like, I think we were talking a little bit the other day about how I see, like, people when they get injuries in jiu-jitsu, sometimes the temptation is to just not come to the academy at all. Like, if it's an injury where they need to stay on the sidelines and it's like, Coach, I don't want to come in and watch because it makes me sad.
Yeah.
But I've seen so many people who did come in and watch when they were hurt.
Yeah.
And they came back and got on the mat after months of not training and picked it right back up, and we're doing great. I think there's something to being able to absorb and learn even when you're on the sidelines.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you can move into a teaching role.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I tell everybody, one of the best ways to learn is to teach.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you're not able to do, well, then, coach, be part of your team.
Yeah.
Right. And it all comes back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's turn this a little bit. I think it got a little crooked. There we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Good.
Looking right down the barrel. Awesome. So we did a lot of training over the weekend.
Yeah.
We had a amazing turnout for the arm wrestling seminar and a great turnout for the grappling seminar today. And Auden, how many people do you think you got to pull with yesterday at the arm? You were out there you were up there almost as much as your dad. I think I kept looking over and seeing you.
I cycled around a lot. I wasn't stuck on one table like Dad. I would move around a lot, but I was pulling like the whole time.
The whole time.
Like, I would walk from place to place. I would be walking to go to somewhere, and people would
Somebody
cut me off.
grab
and
you.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, why not?
Yeah.
I think I went on a streak where it was like 6 or 8 people that, like, I'd pull one, and I'd be like, that was great, and we both, like, start walking off, talk, and somebody would come over and
Next
be like,
one.
I'm gonna pull, like, and they would give me everything. They would go hard. And I would
Nice. Do you, a follow-up question. Your dad's a pretty famous dude in arm wrestling. Do you feel that pressure a little bit? Like people have an expectation for you because you're his son when they interact with you? Do you think they're trying a little bit harder, or do you feel everybody is pretty respectful and approaches it in a appropriate manner?
I've definitely had experience with both.
Yeah.
I've had, most of the time I'd say it's generally positive. People like to just pull with anybody, doesn't really matter who. People like to test themselves, of
Yeah,
course.
for sure.
And when you hear the name Larratt, it kind of comes with it that they'll be decent in arm wrestling, so they like to give it their all with me. But I have had a couple who are like, they're just
Going
trying to
for it.
slam me every single time. And there's been some that have been like better than me and still do it.
Right.
And that's when I start to
You get a little,
I'm like, okay,
come on, dude.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
Devon, I'm sure, like, for you, obviously, like, I put the parallels with the martial arts. Like, I would consider you a black belt in arm wrestling, and I know as being a black belt in jiu-jitsu, people have a certain expectation when they get to roll with me or another black belt, and I'm sure probably very similar with you. Do you find people are they're going pretty hard? Like, here's the thing, I think you and I are very similar in this regard. Like, I don't mind,
Right.
because we know we can handle ourselves, and we also like that competitive nature and everything. Yeah. You think that's
listen, for me, I seek it out.
yeah.
I'm well aware of that exact thing.
Yeah.
And so I train in Ottawa. We've got a great group of guys, and there's a couple clubs that I frequent regularly.
Right.
And I would just consider myself to be just one of the dudes on the team. Like when I go down and hang out with the dudes, in Ottawa, I'm just a regular. We see each other.
Yeah.
We're family. When I cross the river into Gatineau, pretty much the same deal. Like, I'm just one of the dudes who goes and trains there. And so the energy is great, but it's been like we have a relationship.
Yeah.
It's all good. When I go to new places, okay, people come at me hard.
Yeah. It's the same.
Yeah, and I love it because it's really, the intensity is good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's like, so I have my steak and potatoes that I eat at home, and then when I go to new clubs and new experiences, people come and it's I'll tell you, it's a tough, great workout. If I can withstand it and not get injured, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
What I will say is that senior guys don't do that. Okay, so like for example, Jacob and I.
Yeah.
Jacob, longtime arm wrestler, he was here at the seminar, and we've been around the game a long time.
Yeah.
Right, and we settle in, we pull and that'll be the same for any guy who's been pulling like 10, 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Like 99% of us are going to be real chill and work with each other really good. But no, like when you show up to a fresh club with like 4-year dudes and less, they are coming at you.
They're going for it, huh?
Remember me.
Yeah.
Remember.
Well, that's what that one kid, he's like, I want to impress Devon.
And it's great.
He was telling me,
And
he's
I
like,
get
I've been
impressed.
training really hard. I want to impress Devon.
And then I get impressed. I worry a lot sometimes. The guys go too hard, and I worry they get hurt because I'll just stay with them. So my thought is, when I show up to a club or a seminar like what we did, one of my goals is to harvest as much energy as possible from these guys. And I let them get where they're strong. I'll let them get where they can put all their effort into the match, because that way I get it. I get it. So by me, floating with people, absorbing this high level of motivation that they have, it's good. If I were to do this week after week after week, guys would probably chill out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be quite as tasty.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's that. They kind of want to see how they measure up,
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I was the same way.
Yeah. Me too. There's a lot of, in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of old thinking in jiu-jitsu from time to time, like, never ask a black belt to roll. Like, they have to ask you, and I'm like, I love it when people ask me to roll, as long as they're respectful and they wanna come up and ask nicely, hey, would you like to roll? I'm totally cool with that.
Communication is obviously super important.
Yeah.
Like some people have, but like what you did at the beginning of the seminar, you're like, anything goes with me.
Yeah.
You want to do anything? And I was like, okay, that's real cool.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, that's awesome. And I kind of have the same policy. Like when I show up in a place, if I feel good, I'll be like, okay, anything goes. You know, there have been times when I'm like, guys, I just ripped my bicep.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
guys, I just had this procedure, and everybody's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the communication is key.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't expect somebody to know too. Like, I try to not assume somebody has bad intentions.
Yeah.
If they have not been given the parameters.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
And when I show up at a dojo or a club, I'm there to fight.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come at me.
I could tell.
Yeah. Right.
It was fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had a good time.
I almost
that's
died
great.
today. Yeah. See me gassed over on the side. You see how gassed I was?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like I gotta sit there. You're
But-
like, sit this one out.
Let's think about this, because like you've heard of the butterfly effect. Like one thing can affect all these other things. Like if you hadn't trained that hard today, I don't know that you would have gained 10 pounds
That's
in
true.
our eating contest.
That's true.
'Cause
That's
you absolutely killed Auden and I.
Oh, that's terrible.
Auden, you were what, over 7 pounds?
7.1.
7.1, and I was like 6 pounds. And we ate a lot of sushi and drank a lot of fluids.
I really believe you guys actually both ate more than me.
Oh, we did.
We definitely did. I was counting.
we did.
I was too
I
ahead.
killed you on the water.
Yeah, the water was the just
you.
as you said, the water was the deciding factor.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew if I put any more in me, I was going to puke.
I was the same
I was
way.
really close.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
No.
When I stood up.
I threw up in my mouth when I got out of the car.
Yeah.
It didn't come out though.
Right.
You swallow it back down.
No,
You're
that's
good.
good. Yeah.
Didn't break the rules.
I was standing up there for a while, and I'm like, okay, don't.
Where did that originate?
I am a glutton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just to be able to eat more than another person has always been a point of some kind of victory in me.
It's combat art.
It is.
Eating's
right?
a combat art too.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everything's a competition.
it can be.
Yeah.
And I've been very proud of being able to eat more than people.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but so I'll do it with people. I'll have eating competitions, and it's and geez, we've been doing it forever.
Oh yeah. As long as I can remember.
Like a family affair.
I'm creating a monster here.
Yeah.
I don't know why I do it.
That's why he's so big already.
Jody's like, what are you teaching these kids? It's unhealthy. I'm like, yeah.
Just a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, we like.
It's fun though.
Yeah, we on purpose we'll kind of sometimes we'll plan it like a day in advance or a couple days in advance. We'll be like, okay, Wednesday we're gonna go and hit it. So
Yeah.
like we'll go around like 2 or 5. So like you probably don't want to eat anything all day, and make sure you have like big workout all day long.
Yeah.
And, like yeah.
So
go for a
especially so
run.
you feel like you earned it too.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you feel like you earned it, it's a little easier to rationalize
Yeah.
eating that much food.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's necessarily unhealthy if you eat the right stuff and if you do the workout.
Yeah.
If you kill yourself physically, it's like you've killed some antelope or
Right.
something, and then
Yeah.
you get to eat it
And
all.
you're gonna feast.
Yeah, I think we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, Auden, what's your favorite thing about BJJ so far in your journey? How long have you been training now?
I've been training for about a year and a half now, around there.
Okay.
Somewhere around that mark. And I love the community.
Yeah.
It's very similar to arm wrestling. That's everything about it. Everything from the fighting with people to the relationships you build with them. Everything about it is just so much fun to me.
Very similar,
Very
isn't it?
similar. Very similar to
Yeah.
arm wrestling.
I really noticed that too. It's like it's so close. Like there's so much crossover. And then I see it, like you mentioned a little bit, the technique. Devon, what do you see? Like, what are the obvious parallels that you can make between jiu-jitsu or grappling and arm wrestling?
I'd say fight sport, no concussions. Right away, that's very appealing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of concussions. Like a lot of people when they get into fighting, obviously, your brain is really valuable.
Yeah.
It's a very valuable piece of equipment. And it's hard for a fight sport not to, damage that.
Yeah.
And I think that judo as well.
Yeah.
A lot of these sports kind of view that as kind of sacred ground.
Mm-hmm.
Arm wrestling, obviously, we're nowhere near that. But I think that jiu-jitsu does a good job of minimizing that trauma as well.
Yeah.
And I also think that the timelessness of it, in a sense that there's no dead end. Like I feel like in a lot of sports, physicality is really important.
Yeah. And there's a certain point where you might not be able to continue participating, right?
Yeah. And like I said, it's hard for me to speak for jiu-jitsu just from what I see as kind of a guy on the sidelines really at this point. But certainly in judo, you can continue to not only like you can continue to develop into your senior years.
Yeah. One of my white belts in BJJ is came from judo, and he's like in his, if he's listening, I don't want to overage him, but I'm pretty sure he's in his 60s.
Yeah,
the guy's a monster.
I like to, in arm wrestling, give the example of this guy, Crazy George. Okay, Crazy George was, by all accounts, from all the old dudes that I talked to, like guys who were in their like 60s and 70s and 80s, who I run into, they're like, Crazy George, he's still arm wrestling. He was terrible. And then he really, like, by the time I got in the sport in like, the late 90s, turn of the millennia, Crazy George was the man. Okay. And he was like mid 40s, 50s.
Right.
He would defeat all the world, like the current world champions, the young cyborgs, like 22 years old. He'd play with all of them.
Yeah.
The dude right now, I think he's 71 or 2.
Wow.
Okay. And he just won the nationals. He just won the provincials. He won the overalls.
That's crazy.
He's 176 pounds. He beat the super heavyweight national champion.
Wow.
72. It's crazy, man.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Like, so technique, I mean, you think arm wrestling is just a brute strength sport, and strength is massive, but you learn more and more and more.
Yeah, and the technique, it depends on which is the driving factor, right? I always tell my students, like, lead with the technique and have the physical attributes behind it, not the other way around. The other way around will only get you so far. Then when the technical levels start to become a little more equal, like your strength is always going to make a difference. Like that's the reason there's weight classes. Like strength and size do make a difference. But if the playing field is pretty equal, technique-wise, strength plays a definite part.
Yeah.
But I always think that, when it really starts to click that the technique is really a way to find spots to rest. And I saw you doing it when you were working with all the people yesterday. You're obviously finding places where you can rest a little bit or wear them out. A lot of the parallels I see is the counters, recounters, all these chains of techniques, like sequences, going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, until something sticks, or you take the person outside of their strength. Like all of these things are utilized in jiu-jitsu and a lot of different martial arts.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's hand combat for sure. It's very fluid. But I see it as in arm wrestling, in my opinion, there are two central ideas that you need to master. And I feel like in jiu-jitsu, that number is much higher.
Right.
Much higher.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, what would the number be? Like, how many concepts do you really need?
Yeah.
It's a lot, right?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually, somebody tried to break down, like, you know how they have there is a chart or somebody did the math on how many potential moves there were in chess and predict
Scenarios,
scenario, all the and it was a crazy number.
What is 60 billion or something like that?
Somebody did it on jiu-jitsu and it was like
it's
astronomically.
gotta be way bigger.
It was astronomically higher than chess.
How could you even figure that out? Like, there's so many different ways the body can move.
I don't think they could accurately, but even with what little information they plugged in, they determined like it was way more vast.
Yeah,
than the.
Even I don't even know that. I think any physical interaction, there's a lot of potential. Even in something as simple as arm wrestling, it might be up there with chess.
Yeah,
it really might be.
I think so.
It could be. I mean, you'd have to really analyze what actually is worth. Like, I mean, you can't say, "Oh, I can do this." Well, that's kind of garbage. Like, if you broke down legitimate options, it might be close.
Something I've noticed about you in studying your videos and watching how you approach matches and things is something I preach a lot to my students about the mental game. Anybody I know in a high level in whatever their given sport is, and I know for me this was the case, I didn't really start to reach my full potential until I started dialing in the mental aspect of competition and preparation for competition and everything. And I noticed things like a lot of times in matches, I can tell who's going to win or lose just by how they're talking or how they're talking about themselves, and there's little tells and things. And I noticed with you, you're very much confident. You present yourself as in a confident manner, and how much of that do you think is played into reaching the level that you have? Because most sports you hear a lot, like any top basketball player, baseball player, they always talk about the mental part being one of the key components, and I kind of stumbled into it on my own. Like, I haven't had like an actual mental coach or anything like that, but I studied some things and started applying. Did you approach arm wrestling in a similar way?
Yeah, I think that there's certainly a mental kind of flow that you have to go through for optimal success.
Yeah.
Give yourself the best chances. I think a lot of my mental stuff came from the military.
Yeah.
A lot of it did. I think for success in any field, you have to have your why as solid as possible. Like, you need to know why you're doing it. Like, it's very, very important because you're going to get tested. And you're going to have plenty of reasons why you turn back.
Right.
You have to, before you even start the journey for any end goal, any mission, whatever, you have to be all in. You have to be invested in it, so that you will never turn back. Never turn back. And then it's a process. And so the first thing is acceptance of the mission, acceptance of the challenge. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? And think long and hard about it. Don't be like, I'll do it. No.
Yeah. Don't do it on a whim.
Do not do it on a whim. If you're going to do it, make sure that you are willing to see it through all the way to the end, failure or victory.
Yeah.
Embrace and know what you want from it. Why are you doing it? Know why you're doing it. What do you want to achieve? And that can be simple. I'm not saying, I'm doing it for the money. Do it for something that you really want. And it can be very simple. Like, I do it because I like the feeling of victory, and
right.
I like the growth. And it's a learning process for me that I get value from. That's primarily why I undertake high-level matches.
Yeah.
You know, something about the thrill or the potential feeling of victory over something that I doubt I can achieve. That to me is very valuable. Like a lot of these guys in my sport, they're like heroes to me.
Right.
You know, I look at them, I think they're awesome. Like so many of the people in the sport at the high level, you know, I just think they're super cool. And I question myself. I'm like, can I beat this guy?
Right.
Like, oh my God, so
you're realistic in your assessment of potential matches.
I think that there's a couple points of view for how you approach things mentally. I believe that accuracy is of extreme importance. And they say, you know, you're supposed to know yourself.
Yeah.
Know yourself and know what your limitations are, know who you are, know what you're capable of, and then view these challenges as an opportunity for growth, okay? I don't get too excited about somebody that I think I can beat.
Yeah.
I don't get super excited. Don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I'll go to an event or something that I think I can win. And a lot of times I do it, you know, just for training or whatever, you know, stay current.
You did that a little bit before the match with Levon.
I do it.
Yeah.
I normally do it throughout parts of my training. I kind of do a test run, just where I go and I fire off on some dudes.
Yeah.
And like it's good training.
Yeah.
It's good training, but like it's not really competition. It's not really what I'm after. Like my end state is usually something that I feel might be just out of reach.
So now, since I mentioned Levon,
Yeah.
the monster,
Wow.
been dying to ask you this. There was something in that first round that you felt, and he did his little crotch grab thing at you, and he was getting fired up, and you were like, "I'm got you. I'm gonna beat you."
This was actually not.
Well, yeah,
I was actually suggesting.
size.
Yeah, I was just being silly with
It's
it.
not proportionate.
Nah, I was like, yeah.
But you were like, "I'm gonna beat you." You felt something in that first. What did you feel?
Well, so Levon's an interesting character, and before we go on at any point right now, I just want to make sure it's very clear to everyone that I think Levon is just incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a titan walking this planet. Yeah. Incredible. I fucking love the guy. What a champion. The legacy hammer is in the right place with him. Levon and I, round one. The thing was, when I formulated my plan with Levon, I knew, I'm like, this guy he's like twice as strong as me.
Yeah.
Okay. Like when you look at Levon Saginashvili and you observe his strength, it's
obscene.
It's out of this. It's out of this world.
Absurd, obscene. Like we could use all sorts of ways of explaining it here.
Incredible. So I formulated a plan where I'm gonna load with them. I'm gonna early start him. I'm gonna fight with him just as much as possible.
Did you have a little bit of the idea of maybe using that to wear him down?
100%.
Fatigue him a little bit? Yeah.
That was absolutely my goal. And, you know, the rule system and with the straps, and I kind of thought that it gave me the best possibility to achieve that game plan. I've faced guys who were considerably stronger than me before, and sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't work. It takes a great deal of technical savvy and discipline to avoid it. Dennis Saplenkov did a great job of not playing that game with me.
Right.
He did not play that game with me. Every time I tried to do that stuff, he just, you know, and he progressed to a referee's grip. Levon fully played that game with me. Okay. And I can't really say that what he did was bad because he destroyed me. Okay?
Yeah.
But it gave me great hope that it would work because that is my strength.
Yeah.
Right. That is what, like when you look at my peers in arm wrestling, typically what I do really well at is this work capacity in the sport, and I think you kind of saw that, right? Like I can go.
Oh yeah,
I can go
about 6 hours yesterday.
Yeah, I can stay.
No joke.
I can go for hard and long. You know, so that was kind of what I hoped was my in.
Yeah,
and in the first round, even though like people say it was definitely right at the pin line.
Yeah,
but there was a slight bump.
Yeah,
at that pin line,
I spotted it.
Yeah, and I felt it, and I was like, okay, I'm like, you want to keep playing my game, and if I get a stop at the bottom, even if it's the bottom, this is good for me. This makes me believe that we keep doing the same thing. I have a possibility.
Right.
Levon's a Titan.
Yeah.
He tore my arm off round 2.
Yeah.
You know,
it was round 2 when the bicep went?
Round 2. So what happened was round 2, I forget exactly. I think I false started him once or two. And I think I was going for my second false start. I was trying to false start him a second time because so in this King of the Table format, and you know, different leagues, different rules. In this certain rule set, it's a 3-strike system. So you get a strike for a false start. So my goal was
you had wiggle room.
I was gonna false start him once, twice, and then on the third one it was gonna be real every round until I broke him down.
Right. And
I was just gonna work as much as possible before they even gave me the opportunity to false start.
Yeah.
So we're going. I think it's I'm going into my second foul, and I am trying to false start this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going 100%, and he's holding me just dead center. So the referee starts the match, and he then has another, whatever, if it's
another
40
gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got another gear, and that explosiveness that he put into my arm when I was already at max capacity.
It was just the recipe.
Yeah, it tore the muscle on the on my inside of my bicep.
Yeah.
And at that point I was like, man, I'm like, okay. You probably saw it in my face.
Yeah. I spotted something, but I also saw like I didn't think that you wouldn't accept defeat at that point. Like you still gave it your all. Like you still went,
absolutely.
You were gonna get broken.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Like you were gonna go for it.
Yeah. And that's I anticipated that I was either gonna win that match or I'd be injured.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of figured. And I didn't want to walk away from the match if I lost and not be injured because I felt I would have probably regretted that more.
Yeah.
I would have felt that I didn't.
You knew you did everything you could.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I was going in with my shoulder after that, and I was like, he might break my arm still afterwards.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that never happened. But I mean, I was training for the outside option primarily. I knew that there was a chance on the inside, but I thought that my strongest option was King's move, and it just wasn't a reality for me.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for it. First time really in my career. First time where I can really, really salute the guy and say, you are out of reach.
Yeah.
You know, he's 33, I'm 47. You know, it wouldn't even be about me getting back up to that level. He potentially can even go further.
So that's scary.
Yeah, and it's great. Like, I mean, I'm a big lover of the sport as well, so it's nice to see that we're in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Auden, you get to see a different side of things. Like I know like my family, like my mom and stuff, she doesn't like watching me compete. It's funny. She'll like have my dad tell her what's happening, and she like covers her eyes. Like
my mom does the same thing.
Yeah. They will not watch. Like for you guys, like I'm assuming back home you were watching, right? Like Dad was still in it, right?
Yeah,
like he was cranking. Yeah.
I thought he had him also after the first round.
I thought so too. That I saw that little stop, and then even the rounds after, like I know people have done a lot of little breakdowns, like, was that a pin or not? Like, it was like barely, but I knew that if you weren't questioning it, I knew that you knew that it was there, you know?
Oh, yeah. After round 2, like, I was still fighting, and I mean, I was giving it my best, but I lost a lot of horsepower. Like, I mean, at that level, like, you can't really be damaged.
Yeah.
You gotta have all your parts working for you. Yeah.
Auden, what's your favorite match that your dad has had that you can remember?
My
you have a favorite,
match.
like a top one?
I really don't know. I mean, I liked when he just totally destroyed Michael. That was pretty awesome.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that one's really good.
But, you know, here's the thing. Like, I could tell you had Michael in there. In the lead up, I could tell, and I could see in his face when you did the little sneak attack at the practice and showed up.
Yeah.
And I could kind of tell he felt some things that maybe made him question, you know, what was going to happen in that match.
Yeah. Michael is a great competitor. He has an incredible heart. You can't keep Michael down. No. He's one of those guys with incredible self-belief.
Yeah.
And it's valuable.
Yeah, he was one right after you. He was another one I started following, and I've always really enjoyed the stuff he puts out. And, yeah, no question, that guy's heart is huge.
He's won a lot of matches that he had no business winning.
Yeah.
He I mean, Michael has a long career.
Yeah.
If you look at everything he's done, some of the best matches to watch are by him. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of easy wins.
Yeah.
Like when you look at a lot of people in the sport have different gifts. There's some very strong athletes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and this is gonna sound like an insult or something, but I promise it's not.
Yeah.
Michael Todd is not one of those guys. He's not one of those guys in the sport of arm wrestling that just has tremendous gifts. He's worked.
Yeah.
He's worked for everything that he has. And he has been, you know, at the highest level of the sport.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to his determination.
100%, right.
And you got to get inspiration from those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and his wife. I love the content those guys put out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Michael, like, that was one where you knew.
Yeah.
Probably before.
Was an interesting time in my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know, and that's something I wanted to ask you about. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's cool. I can edit it out.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you were in a really dark spot before that match. Like, how much that match did to help you pull you out of that darkness.
Interesting time in my life. Jody and I have we've been together since high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jody and I have a long history together.
Yeah.
You know, she's the most important person in my life. And we actually had a little bit of a rough patch.
Gotcha.
Probably so I don't know what year it is here.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. So I pulled Michael in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it would have been 2020. So my world was falling apart a little bit, kind of internally, and you know, and then I got sick.
Yeah, you had the deep vein
and
thrombosis.
all these things kind of happened at the same time.
Yeah,
you know, I got DVT. My leg turned into porridge. I got pulmonary embolism.
They said your blood was like crazy thick. Like,
it was bad. Yeah.
You think that was all the traveling you had done before that?
It's interesting. So yes, certainly there was the traveling. Okay, I spent like probably 36 hours, you know, in airports before I got home. I was in San Diego, I think, or San Francisco. It's not, I don't know. I know it was San Diego.
San Diego.
It was in San Diego.
Because I remember a lot of content was coming out before then. You were all over the place.
Right. And then I had to get back home and went San Diego, like San Francisco, Vancouver, Calgary. Just I couldn't, because it was like a last second I had to get home. Anyway, so it was like a long time in the air. I wasn't drinking water. I was not in a good head place. Jody and I were fighting, and I had COVID. I didn't know I had COVID.
Right.
But when I went and did all the testing and everything, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way,
on top of that,
you have COVID."
Yeah.
And they told me that was probably the primary reason, was the COVID combined with the travel.
Yeah, because there was a lot of people, especially the early strain of COVID, blood clot stuff was was part of that. Yeah.
So
it was like the recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So I was at a real low point. I was by myself over Christmas, and I was listening to all these podcasts, and I kind of, I turned myself around a little bit, and then I was presented with this opportunity for a match with Michael, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And it gave me something to kind of focus on and turn myself around, and I'm really thankful to Michael for that, because he was like, that match was something that let me kind of grow. Come back to something positive.
And for people who maybe aren't familiar with arm wrestling too much, and there will be after this, hopefully they go start looking at some of these matches, but Michael had beat you previously.
He had the last win on me. Yes, he did.
Prior to that,
we've gone back and forth in our career,
and
it's typically it's close.
It's
really like, we have a right-handed, we're close. Like, it's normally one guy doesn't smash the other. It's normally a hard-fought battle one way or the other. And even though it was 6-0, I mean, I didn't make any mistakes.
Right.
I made no mistakes. If I had pulled a bit sloppier, I could have got myself in trouble.
Yeah.
But,
and that was when the world got to see pancake powered Devon.
Oh my God.
That was when you were doing the pancake diet.
I went all in. Like, I'm telling you, I really went for it. That was a level of power that I had never seen before. I've had a lot of injuries in my career. Like, I've got a ton of miles on my arm and on my elbow and on my wrist, but I managed to get myself in a state of health that my arm felt brand new. Like, I didn't feel a single injury. And the thing is, a lot of the styles that you see older arm wrestlers use is it's not because they like those styles better, it's because they're injured. And they're forced into these kind of...
they're adapting.
Right, these niche kind of things. But you give an old arm wrestler a fresh young body, it's bad. It's bad. And that's what I had that day.
Yeah, you definitely peaked perfectly for that match.
That one worked out.
Do you feel that for the match, in the match with the Levon, you found another one of those peaks beforehand?
I know that I can confidently tell you. Here's the thing. Like, I mean, this is what I believe. It's very hard to measure arm wrestling. Because it's more complicated than the weights you lift or whatever. But from the weights I was lifting, from my interaction with other arm wrestlers, I believe that the guy who was at the table with Levon would have beaten any version of myself prior.
Okay.
Yeah, I really believe. Now, I'll tell you, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Okay. Like by the end, of the Levon prep, I was so done. Really, really done. I really, like, if you think I pushed hard for Michael, no.
Yeah.
I pushed harder for Levon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And by the end of it, I was like, oh, my God, please let this be done.
Yeah, let's do the match and get back to normal life.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I knew it was like that for me.
Yeah.
Win or lose, I knew that I was going to have a down period.
Yeah.
I knew I had it programmed in. I was like, after this, I want to settle down. I want to come back to really the things I love about the sport and let things grow again from there. And, I wanted to clean the slate after Levon.
Yeah. So now we're going to get away from arm wrestling a little bit, and then we're going to end with arm wrestling because there's a kind of a crazy match thing coming up, but we're going to talk about that at the end.
Yeah, I love that match.
Yeah. So I'll start with Auden. Interests outside of BJJ and arm wrestling. What do you like to do for fun? Do you have any fun hobbies that you like to do? Like, you guys saw my artwork behind me. Like, a lot of people don't know that that's my only related to my job talent type of thing. So what do you like to do? I've seen you like playing piano and.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I love to play piano. I play a lot of it. There was a while ago I started playing, just taught myself. That was
nice.
Was it 5 years ago?
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's hard to teach yourself.
We were like, Auden, do you want a teacher? And Auden was always like, no, I don't want a teacher.
Yeah.
I just learned off YouTube. I always just loved it. I loved just messing around. I was never very good at the start, and then I started to pick up a couple things and figured a couple songs out.
That's awesome.
And then I took a break, and then I think it was around the start of high school. It was around grade 9 when I got back into it, around COVID.
Yeah.
I started. And I got back into it. I've been playing a lot ever since, and I've been playing a bit more, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things.
Do you feel I know for me the artwork is where I have that little escape where I'm not really thinking about much else. Mm-hmm. Do you find that with playing the piano too?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of get in that flow state and forget about all the other stuff that's going on in life. Yeah. Devon, what about for you? I know you're deeply immersed in arm wrestling, and me with BJJ, especially running a business or we're in this situation where we are our brand.
Yeah.
Even though I have the business, quote unquote, I'm the brand, I'm the face of the business. Same for you with the arm wrestling. What do you like to do to kind of chill outside of arm wrestling? I know you're going to start BJJ, so that might become a little thing like that for you, but is there any other stuff you like to do?
Yeah. I'm a terrible chess player, but I really enjoy it. I like to play video games a little bit.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think that the thing that I really like to do that's just super simple, I'd spend a lot more time doing it, is I like walking.
Yeah.
I walk a lot.
Yeah, it seems like you enjoy being out in nature and getting out.
I like to do longer walks where they're not short. I do a 5-hour walk, 6-hour walk. I find it's very cleansing,
therapeutic,
very
clear your head,
and it's very simple. Something about it that I really like. I could spend a lot of my life just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is arm wrestling related, obviously, but the Arm Bet app.
Yeah,
I really think that there's a lot of joy there for me when I consider the steps forward that we can take.
Yeah,
yeah,
continuing to grow the community and the sport.
Yeah,
having that added tool set to do that with is really cool.
But I'm very, very. I don't need a lot of break from what I love.
Yeah, same.
I really love arm wrestling, and I don't look for a lot of breaks.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So you're a couple years older than me, but favorite cartoon growing up?
Favorite cartoon growing up?
Genre. For me, I'll start it out. For me, it was Transformers, Voltron, Thundercats. That was my jam.
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch a ton of TV.
Okay.
My mother actually paid me to not watch TV.
Okay. Okay. You did mention comic books, though. Was that kind of your avenue?
I had a lot of comic books. Actually, my first comic book that I ever collected was Werewolf by Night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You don't know that, do you?
No, I do. Because
really?
that's the first appearance of Moon Knight
It's
was
old,
was
right?
in Werewolf by Night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old comic, okay? But that was where I got introduced to comics.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I was a Wolverine, Punisher.
So more Marvel.
Yeah, more Marvel. Yeah, but
Anything DC, Batman, that kind of.
not so
Yeah,
much.
most people are a little bit more one or the other.
Yeah, I really liked Wolverine. I liked the character, and
Yeah.
I thought he was like, that's the thing. I mean, we talked about Super. A lot of I struggled. I just didn't think a lot of the superheroes were real.
Yeah.
You know, the Wolverine to me seemed like a real person.
Yeah,
like relatable. Like that's how somebody would act. And
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that's one of the reasons I think I really liked him.
Nice. Were you more into reading them, or did you like appreciating the artwork? Like, I know for me, I was more like, my comic collecting was driven a lot through, because I did enjoy the art and I was into art. I was always like studying the artist and things. And were you more drawn to like the depth of the character and the storylines? And
Yeah, I definitely like the storylines.
Yeah.
I definitely read everything and really took it
Nice.
all in. But yeah, I mean, you really appreciate a good artist. Like
Yeah.
I remember, following a series.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, geez, there's comic book series that are in the thousands.
oh yeah,
And when the artist changes,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because the artist is not like, he'll work for, I don't know, 50 episodes.
sometimes,
Right?
sometimes
maybe
less,
maybe 30.
yeah.
And then you'll get a new artist and be like, I hate
isn't
this.
good.
No, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is terrible. Sometimes it's changed for the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Marvel had some great some great artists.
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
really good.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about me. Like, my first job at 16 was working at a comic book shop.
Really?
And not just any comic book shop. I actually worked for Todd McFarlane, who drew Spider-Man. I worked
really?
for a comic book shop he co-owned with his brother-in-law. So Todd's also a Canadian guy. Todd's from Canada originally. Yeah, and his brother-in-law and him, they co-owned a little chain of comic book shops called Spider's Web Card and Comics.
Wow.
So at 16, I go in there and I'm like just a patron there, like buying my comics there. And I like Wednesday when the new comics would come in, I'd help them, volunteer to help put them out and help the guys. And eventually he's like, hey, you want a job here?
No way.
Yeah. So I got to work there for 2 years and
Worked for McFarlane.
yeah. So it was crazy because one, the whole back room, they stored a lot of his original art pages. Oh, wow. And a lot of people don't know, like, the original art, they draw it like this. It's 11 by 17, so they can get all the detail in, and then it's reduced down, right? So there was big brown garbage bags, the brown paper bags,
Yeah.
stored along the shelves in the back, this thick, and it was all his artwork from when he did Incredible Hulk, when he was on Amazing Spider-Man.
Wow.
So on my lunch break, I would pull one of those down, just like pour over this stuff, try to study how he was doing, what he was doing, and
Cool.
yeah. And when those guys would come out, that was really when like Image was popular and the Spawn and all of that, when those guys branched off and started doing their own thing. So when they would come to the shop to do signings, they knew, oh, James is a martial arts guy. We got to have crowd control. We got to have a bodyguard for these guys. So I got to, quote unquote, bodyguard Todd McFarlane a couple times as a teenager and whatnot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a comic book shop in Belleville. I grew up in Picton, Ontario, and every time I'd go over, there was an arcade. I'd play in the arcade, and I'd go over to the comic book
That's
store.
awesome.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, we'd get to Toronto, and all the ones that I couldn't get, I'd get them in Toronto.
They'd have them there.
I think the store was called Silver Snail or something.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's funny. There was an arcade 2 doors down from the comic book shop I worked at. I would go there after I got off work,
right.
play some Marvel versus Capcom
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So one of the guys that I feel is like an undervalued undervalued superhero.
Yeah.
Was that really fast guy? He's in the X-Men ones. Quicksilver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the guy? He's like it's faster than that.
Yeah, Magneto's son.
That guy. Yeah. That guy's the most powerful guy.
Super character, yeah.
He's the most powerful guy, and he's like
they killed him off in the movies.
Did they?
Well,
Because he was too good.
When they did the one Avengers movie with him in there, yeah.
How did they kill him off?
He got shot. It's kind of
shot?
Saving somebody.
Yeah.
Shot?
Yeah.
People were upset about
Man,
it.
he
Yeah,
can,
people were very upset.
Like,
Yeah, but now with everything they're doing with the Marvel movies, they can reverse it because they're doing the whole multiverse and all of that.
And they'll probably bring in the X-Men Quicksilver.
Yeah.
He's in that one also.
Yeah, you into comics?
Comic
movies?
I was a lot more when I was a kid. I'd read all his comics that he got.
That's awesome. You still have them?
Yep.
Still got 'em,
Yeah,
I've got
same.
them now.
Yeah, I'm a huge nerd, literally and physically and figuratively and literally. Yeah, people are always surprised. What? You're into comic books? You do artwork? Yeah, it's my little side.
Who's
thing.
your favorite
Superhero? Man, I've always been like a Punisher, Wolverine, Hulk. Obviously, with the Hulk rash guard I wore today. Yeah. Always been into those, and I like drawing like big, overly muscular characters. And
Who wins between Hulk and Juggernaut?
I would say Hulk.
Does he?
Well,
Yeah,
it depends what Juggernaut. Like, because some of the later ones, he gets like stupid power.
Yeah, but Hulk is like. It depends on what version of the Hulk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's literally like nearly indestructible in some
He just keeps
iterations of
getting
the
angry,
character.
like more and more angry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. But Juggernaut's actually Magneto's, or no, Professor X's brother.
Is it stepbrother or brother?
Brother, I think. Well, I think they've done both different ways. Yeah. But see, we could have done a whole podcast just on this.
Yeah.
I would just talk about comics and
Well, if you could
superheroes.
have one
ability.
yeah. I always like this one.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do two things. First, one superhero power.
Okay.
Yeah. And then one wish. We'll separate them.
Superhero power.
And it has to be like, okay, well, let's not make too many rules yet.
Okay. Well, let's just say for superhero power, healing factor.
Healing factor's a good one.
Healing factor. Got to go with Wolverine.
Yeah, and he lives a long time too.
Wolverine has literally been stripped down to his adamantium skeleton in the comics and grew back all his tissue in his body.
Hard to beat.
The only way Magneto was killed in one of the, Wolverine was killed in one of the series. So I know in the comics, like Magneto ripped all the metal off his bones at one point and all of that. But there was a great, they did an Old Man Logan.
They did Logan, yeah. That one's
comic book series. And he ends up dying finally at the end of that.
He does.
Yeah.
He dies?
But they bring him back. Like it's in the future.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so he eventually runs out.
Yeah, but it's in an interesting way.
Okay.
They do a good job. They do a good job with them. How they kind of do it, but it's almost like a what if type of thing. Like, this is this different timeline in the future. This happens to him. It's actually a really good series. Yeah. He actually realizes that he killed all the other superheroes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's all these monuments to all the superheroes that died and everything. And then he finally remembers what happened, and Mysterio made everybody look like the villains.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Wolverine just went savage and killed everybody, and then snaps out of the thing, and it's all the X-Men, all the other superheroes, and he's just slaughtered everybody.
Wow.
So he's having to live with this, like being like one of the few superheroes still left alive in this apocalyptic landscape and stuff. And the Hulk's around, but the Hulk has like bunch of inbred kids that are crazy.
Does he eat them?
Yeah,
Doesn't he eat them at one point?
Yeah, Hulk eats Wolverine at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a good one to read.
I think I've seen that one.
Yeah. So superpower, healing factor, and then what was the other thing?
One wish.
One wish. everybody always says like the eternal life thing. Well, I mean, what kind of genie are we dealing with here? Could you wish for unlimited wishes?
No,
That's not on there.
That's never allowed.
Man, that's a hard one.
It is.
It's a hard one. I'm gonna throw it back on you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta think about it a little more.
I feel like you can trump your healing power thing a little bit with the wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so predictable. I do wish for the everlasting. Yeah.
The healing factor.
No, the immortality.
Immortality. Oh,
Yeah,
so your wish
that's
is
my wish.
immortality. Yeah.
That'd be my wish.
Yeah.
It's just good. And I think that
That one's too good. That's
yeah,
like,
it's maybe
but it's like,
should it be out of bounds?
I don't want, no, because I want that one too, but I didn't want to pick it because I think it's like cliche.
Cheating.
Well, it's the one everybody like
for sure
usually says.
It's pretty popular.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like, would you want to be around when everybody else is gone? Like, you're still around, but everybody else is. I mean, that's a tough one to think about. Yeah,
Sure is.
Yeah,
But I'll do it.
but you'll do it.
Yeah.
Immortality for the wish.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Superhero ability.
Well, how about because I'm immortal and I don't like to spend too much time traveling, I will take the
Teleportation.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I like how you combined
That works,
the
right?
genie wish and the tied them together. What about you, Auden?
For wish, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd probably go immortality, and then for the superpower, if we're going with immortality as well, I wouldn't go teleportation. Teleportation's cool, but I'd go more like super speed.
super speed. Yeah. Well, super speed is close.
I think it's more versatile though. Like
It
teleportation's
probably is.
cool.
Yeah.
So if I could reverse what I said, but I'm not going to, but if I could, using your guys' formula, I would do the immortality, but the ability to resurrect people.
Now that's
Because then the people that
I'd say
the
you
people
win.
that but I
think
that
you
was
win.
a do-over.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you know,
Well,
I don't count that, but if I liked your guys' formula,
When
combining the wish with the ability.
when I hear a good idea, I normally steal it. So
Yeah, because that way, the people that
That's a
that
great
mean the
wish.
most to you that you.
now,
Yeah,
do
you
they
wanna-
come back like Pet Cemetery?
That's the problem. See, because usually with wishes, the
they
genies
scream.
they like to, or the jinn as they're called, right?
They like to be tricky.
They like to be tricky.
uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a hilarious TV series called "What We Do in the Shadows." It's actually
Oh,
based,
yeah.
I've seen some
based
of it.
off
It's really
the
fun.
Taika Waititi movie.
I think is
Yeah.
Mummy not working with those guys?
with the
somehow?
writers of it.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Jodie's
And
good.
on that show, on one of the recent ones, one of the vampires got a djinn or
Okay.
a genie,
Yeah.
and like he's messing him over with these wishes he's making. It's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, so back to arm wrestling
Okay.
to conclude
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Khaled
Right.
is gonna face
Yeah. Yeah.
Schoolboy,
Yeah.
and then he's also gonna face Ryan Blue Bowen. Predictions.
What a card, man!
Predictions.
What a card!
I'm so excited for this.
Khaled by knockout.
I love it. I love arm wrestling, but I just love the story here.
Yeah, for the listeners, like Khaled is just this gifted genetic freak.
super gifted.
Yeah. Who came out of nowhere and started messing around a little bit with arm wrestling and just complete natural stud.
I shook his hand when I met him, and he really had no experience whatsoever. I just shook his hand, and I knew. I'm like, I can't top roll this guy.
Yeah.
He's in the 0.00, kind of percentage, like nobody, or the 99.9, whatever way you want to look at it. Like he's in a very small. There's probably, I don't know, if there's 1,000 Khaleds on the planet, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. And he's a fighter.
Yeah, he's big into MMA now. He's done a lot of feats of strength that not even a lot of the elite people can do, like some of the grip closing. And,
Yeah.
and
Oh, no.
all of
I
that.
think
Like,
there's only one other person. I think it's Brian Shaw. He's done the Millennium.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
the only
just
one I
and he
saw.
just came in and was like,
did it.
just
Yeah.
did it with no training, no nothing.
Yeah. I mean, him versus Schoolboy is an interesting match because they have a history. Schoolboy should win. He really should. He's a young Russian stud, great arm wrestler, focused. He should win. The only problem is when they faced each other in Larry's gym like a year ago or something, Khaled did beat him, and I think he hurt him when he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and depending on what the rules are, like the rules of King of the Table are a little bit flexible. Yeah. So if they make it so that you need to earn the straps, because in arm wrestling there's a couple variations of the rules. Sometimes you can get what's called an auto strap, and they basically start you in a strap.
Yeah.
Or you get a strap after a certain amount of time.
Right.
Or they have, so in arm wrestling, there's a slip.
Yeah.
Okay, so your hands come apart. And in some leagues, what they'll do is they'll just say, all slips go to straps. But in some leagues, you look at intent. And if it's what's deemed an intentional slip, the one who is initiating or causing the slip will get a foul.
Right.
And the problem is when you face Khaled, is his hand is so dominant, it's very hard to slip.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't mean it's hard to slip. It's very hard to get anything on his hand, and it will make you want.
Gotcha.
You will want to slip.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a foul.
Yeah.
Right. So there will be a problem for anybody facing Khaled, unless their strength is just out of this world. And I don't know if Schoolboy's at that level. I don't know what the rules are going to be. But that match should be, a good match.
Yeah.
That'll be a good match.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to lose. I don't know how much mileage is going to be put on them.
Right.
It might be quick. It might be comfortable. Yeah. But whatever happens, Khaled is going on to do a second match that same night.
Oh, my God.
Because I guess he really doesn't like blue.
Right. Well,
I don't know why.
Seems like a theme. Yeah. That seems like a very popular line of thinking.
So
I actually, just to put it out there in case he hears it, I love Ryan's channel and everything. I like what he's doing for the sport.
Me too.
He's dedicated his life to arm wrestling and bringing a lot of, I think the haters bring in a lot of people to arm wrestling too.
Absolutely. But really the match highlights nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Ryan is not a super, super gifted dude. He's not. Like he works everything that he has, he's worked hard for. There's nothing that I would say, oh, Ryan came into the sport and he was a killer.
Right,
no,
right.
I would not say that. I'd say Ryan is a really good arm wrestler, and everything he has gotten through sweat and tears.
Yeah.
So it's a very good match to show how far does that take you.
Yeah.
Can a guy who works hard for, 7 or 8 years, can you defeat a man that you would never defeat without training?
And supposedly, Khaled doesn't train for these matches.
He says he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he said in the lead up for the Larry match, he didn't do anything with Larry Wheels.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. When I met Khaled, I was in Dubai. I went over there to help Larry.
Yeah.
I went over there to train Larry. I went over when Khaled showed up, shook his hand. I immediately walked over to Larry Wheels and I said, do not arm wrestle that guy.
Yeah.
I said, that guy is bad news. He's going to hurt you. I said, do not pull him.
Yeah.
Because he's just on a different level.
Yeah.
He's on a different level of genetic. And, we'll see what happens.
Predictions? Are we going to make a prediction? Well, bold.
The thing is it's all stacked against Khaled.
Yeah.
Like, so the match with Alex, he shouldn't win. He shouldn't. He's got to fight 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
This is different. Like, we know, like, look, it's close, but it's not. Like, you want to train for arm wrestling, you're not going to have a fight 2 weeks. No.
Doesn't happen.
You're not only, it's not like it's just probably not the best training. It is holding you back, man.
Yeah.
It is taking away from you to do that kind of level of focus and specialization outside of your activity. So he will not be prepared the way he should be.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
We'll see. I put him as not the favorite against Schoolboy, but if he wins, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. To me, this whole King of the Table 5, there's some really good matches in there. Like Vitaly Laletin is pulling Dave Chafee.
That'll be good. Yeah.
That's a crazy match. Lachlan Adair is facing Arackley. Another incredible match. I think Arackley's going to kill him, unfortunately. Like, I love Lachlan, but to me, the whole story of King of Table 5 is Khaled Jashel. Yeah. Like, how good is this guy? If Khaled wins against Schoolboy,
it's huge.
It's so huge.
Yeah.
And if then Khaled goes on to beat Blue, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if he beats Schoolboy, he's probably going to beat Blue also, right?
You better believe it.
Yeah.
You would feel like it.
You better believe it.
Unless it's somewhat of a war
That's
with
true.
Schoolboy.
Unless it's like 3-3
Yeah.
over the last one.
Yeah.
Crazy battle.
If he's somehow a little gassed, like he
Schoolboy would, in my opinion, destroy Ryan.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if Schoolboy and Ryan had a match, it's not close.
Yeah.
Schoolboy obliterates him. So if Khaled wins against Schoolboy, he should.
Yeah.
He should still have gas in the tank to beat Ryan.
I'm going to go out on a limb. My official prediction, because it's going to be recorded in the annals of history here, is going to be that the match between Schoolboy and Khaled will be closer than it should be.
Yeah.
I think Schoolboy's going to beat him.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I think that Khaled's going to go on and end up beating Ryan.
Okay.
That's going to be my official prediction.
Okay. I'm going to just go crazy on this one.
Okay.
And I am saying that the rule set is going to be WAF.
Okay.
World Arm Wrestling Federation rule system, and they are going to make it that you got to earn your strap.
Okay.
And I am telling you, it is going to be problems.
Yeah.
It is going to be problems. And I am praying that Khaled is lying to all of us. And secretly right now, he's doing wrist curls.
Right.
And pronation, along with punching people in the head.
Yeah.
You know, what I'd like to see is, look, I think it's going to be a close match. But the story for me is what just wraps me in so much.
Yeah.
If Khaled can win against Schoolboy and then go on and completely obliterate Blue Bowen, to me, it's one of the greatest stories in arm wrestling. Yeah. And I'll say that Africa is missing from the party here.
Right.
You're missing. Like, we have North America, Europe, the Far East, even South America, Australia, Japan. We're all at the party.
Right.
We're all at the party. India, like the stands, everybody's playing. Africa is not quite on the level, in my opinion, that they should be.
Yeah.
We should have that continent screwing people up big time, and you don't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
And if Khaled destroys him, does well, goes back to Cameroon as a hero, he might be the guy who ignites arm wrestling in Africa.
Yeah.
And then the world is a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going Khaled?
You
don't want to make a
I'm
prediction.
terrible. I always call it wrong. I'm just really looking forward to the match.
All right.
And,
Auden.
I personally think that Schoolboy is just gonna kill him.
Like easy?
I don't think easy,
Okay.
but I think it'll be quite convincing. It'll
Okay.
be 6-0.
Because
Like,
on paper, he should.
yeah, on paper he should exactly. And then I feel like
And on paper, Ryan should probably,
he should on paper.
experience-wise.
Should.
Yeah.
He really should. But I feel like the rule set really, like Dad was saying,
Yeah.
the rule set really, really matters.
Yeah.
And if it is all slips go to straps, then I feel like it's going to be a crazy battle.
Yeah.
no, hold on. I think you said that wrong.
Yep.
Do you mean all slips go to straps, or do you
Oh
want?
no, yeah,
Right.
you're right. I meant if they don't,
if they have to earn the
yes.
Yeah.
You can't do intentional.
The rules
slips.
are going to play a big
part.
That's a big deal.
Just like anything else. Yeah.
It's a big deal. I remember when I met Cal, like I said, I knew, without a strap, it was going to be a very hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was years ago.
Yeah. Guys, this has been awesome.
Hey, it has been awesome.
That was a lot to
unpack.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Been great having you guys out here. What do you guys think about potentially making this an annual thing?
I love it. And you know what? I learned a lot from your seminar.
Awesome. Thank you.
Even just the difference between you guys run your seminars and the way I run mine. I learned a lot from the way you run things. I might run my seminars a bit different.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been amazing.
We'll be back. Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you
again.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Until next time.
Yeah. Stay massive.
Stay massive, everybody.
I won 10 pounds. 10 pounds.
10 pounds gained on the Eating Gluttony Bowl. Take care, everyone.